Hi, welcome to my channel. In this topic, I will answer some questions I received from your site, either through YouTube, LinkedIn, my email, whatever. So let's start. First of all, that during importing Invoice, AR Invoice, it has been noticed that process is ending in error. There are a lot of causes or a lot of reasons for these errors. So first reason here, like it's importing following by import Invoice ESS job through schedule process. You can go to there and try to run this ESS job import Invoice. Since the customer or you is using a business unit ledger enforces document sequence over a specified ledger option, so import receivable transactions using an auto invoice must be should used instead of import auto invoice ESS job. So this is the reasons. If you implement your sequence by using business unit ledger, so in this case you can import, but instead of using import auto invoice, you can run import receivable transactions using an auto invoice. From schedule process, just search for the same name and input all the required parameters, click submit and try again either this issue is resolved or not. Second reason for the same issue, that in sometimes you can change the category or there is mismatch between category document category name and code. During implement the sequence, there is one tab for document category and document code. Maybe it's not the same, or you changed the name. For example, here you have created, for example, category by X space Y, and it has been renamed to X underscore Y. The same category renamed to B X underscore Y. Take care that internal code assigned remained X space Y. As per system configurations, it cannot be changed manually. So for these reasons, you can try to import and you fail or the process ending in error because the code or the category name is changed. So first you define that X space Y with starting a specific sequence. After that, you change the name. So this is also another reasons. So in this case, you have to go to setup maintenance, manage sequence, query for the category which is X and Y, change it again back to the initial value is X space Y. Save, create new document sequence called whatever. Make sure both category code, category name are the same. Save, assign new category to the document sequence and remove previous category from the assignment sections. Retry import auto invoice again, either through import auto invoice ESS job or the previous one that import receivable transactions auto invoice. Second question here is that import payables payment request was rejected. As you know that these payment requests trying to importing either from refund or whatever, again the same issues regarding to the sequence assigned to specific document category. As you know that the document or this sequence again determine type is legal entity. You have to create a new document determined by legal entity. Assignment tab to enter document sequence category name, which is in this case is payment request, and there is no methods either automatic or manual specified here, and the legal entity, enter your legal entity name. In case of the invoice or payment request imported using a spreadsheet, you have to fill the legal entity name. There is one field, legal entity name, should be also provided in the import template to avoid any import errors. Even so that this legal entity name field is not a mandatory field in the spreadsheet. Again, if your setup like legal entity, determine type legal entity at your business or sequence document for this payment request, and you are going to try to create invoice or payment requests using spreadsheets, so this legal entity must be filled again in the spreadsheet. After that you try again, it will be inshallah work successful. Number 4, how to assign approval rule for invoice type payment request. At the current time, there is no approval for payment request from Fusion expense or Fusion receivables. Payment request from Fusion and Fusion receivables always set to not required in Fusion payables, and it will be readably available for payment. Once this type of the invoice is imported successfully in account payables, it will be ready for payment without any approval before the payment process. Up to now, maybe what's new the next what's new or whatever's may be enabled, but until now it's not. There is no available approval for payment request. Number 5, how to make sure that the receivable transaction document sequence works based on accounting date rather than transaction date. As you know, at AR transaction level there are two dates. Accounting date means GL date. Transaction date means receivable module date. How to make sure that receivable transaction document sequence work based on accounting date or GL date. Again, for under specified ledger option, you have to enable sequence at legal entity. Also determining type will be at legal entity. This is during define the sequence. Assignment to do all defined sequence, log in and to log out, log in, retest the issue. Number 6 here, that for AR approval, I need send this approval to multiple approvals, either approval group or whatever, either by rule based or user based. Until now, this is not applicable. As you know that user based approval transaction cannot be routed to an approval group as a group of users, only one users. For the rule-based transaction, I being force approved instead of routing to the appropriate approval. What I did that for rule-based, as you know, once you download the transaction approval for AR, there are two tabs, either user-based or rule-based. User-based means that this approval will go to specific users, username which you mentioned in this user-based approval rule. What I tried for rule-based, to try this approval group or a group of users, I try to enter a transaction that, as you know here, there is only one option as auto approve. I try to enter or select auto approve, which is only one selection here, and try to put a transaction amount is 0. It means what? That all of the transactions either less than or more than 0, it will go through approval, right? But for the rule based, as you know, you have to create or attach to AR privilege to specific either a new custom AR approval rule or a current or existing non-standard AR rule. So what I did, I create a new rule for AR approval and attach it to this rule two privileges: approve AR approval with approve receivable transactions, privilege 1, and force approve receivable transactions, and assign this new custom rule to the approvals. But also it doesn't work. Doesn't work means that in this case, once the system checks that transaction amount is less than 0 or more than 0, it will go through the approval rule based. The system will check who has this new rule or who has any these two privileges approval, either approve receivable transactions or force approval receivable transaction, or both. Once the users try to submit, it will go immediately for the users who have these two privileges to get approvals. And as you know, the approvals can navigate to the managing transactions, search for the transactions, and take the actions, either reject or rework or approval. But once I did this and I attached this new custom AR approval rule to two persons, it's only once the first approval takes actions, it's immediately status changed from in process or pending approval to approved. and again it's failed to send for a group of approvals. Also take care here that when you try to search for these two privileges, either approval receivable transactions and force approval receivable transactions, you cannot find them or these two privileges. So in this case you have to run jobs as ESS job in schedule process, which is import user and rule application security data. Once this completed successfully, the privileges will appear with you to create a custom AR approval and assign it to either one privilege of them or both, because this rule based of AR approval working based on who assigned to these rules, which including or which having this approval receivable transactions privilege 1 and force approval receivable transactions privilege 2. Again, maybe in the next clone of the what's new, these issues may be resolved. Thanks for watching. Good luck.